Charles, my man, what's happening, brother?
Friday, man. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. It's another Friday. Um, First thing first, I want to give a shout out and much love to all the people that were affected by the tornadoes and severe weather that happened in Mississippi up through Alabama, even into some parts of Georgia. So definitely, guys, in our prayers. Um, Charles, all eyes on voter suppression, man.
Hmm. Well,
Georgia's on my mind.
maybe Ray Charles can see him.
You're gonna have to lead us through this one. I am couple things. First of all, and I want to make sure I call her name right because I know a lot of us have seen the images of the legislator and the representative, I believe it was, and I don't have her name right in front of me at the moment, that got arrested um, at the Capitol while knocking on the governor's door as he was signing the bill. So I will look to find her name. But Charles, what's going on, man? What in the heck is going on?
Hmm. Looks like Republicans are overreaching and overreaching by a lot. Um, all of the things that Donald Trump said he wanted are now law, thanks to Brian Kemp and the Georgia legislature. And what I mean by that is when Trump was asking for someone to step in and overturn the results, somebody to step in and challenge the count, somebody to step in and just take a look at this. All the things that the Secretary of State wouldn't do because it was illegal, they have now made those things the law of Georgia. And by the way, if you stand in one of those long border lines in Georgia, it's not illegal to for someone to pass you a bottle of water or give you a slice of pizza. That's illegal too.
Hmm.
So you name it. Uh, Drop boxes severely cut. Absentee voting no longer signature. Now you have to have a photo ID. Secretary of State will no longer be over elections in Georgia. They can remove him.
Whoa, wait. Back up. These are too important to run through quickly. Let's go back. Let's take these one at a time. Because you've just hit some major things there. So let's go back. Let's rewind. Because hold on. First of all, let's deal with what you said about if you're standing in a lone voter line in Georgia, what can no longer what was happening in the last election and what can no longer happen. Let's start there.
Yeah, well, there were people who stood in line upwards of 10 hours to vote in Georgia in this last cycle. And there were groups that provided water, that provided a little quick meal so that they could maintain their place. In this omnibus bill, which, by the way, was 2 pages when it was first proposed, and yesterday was 95 pages, and it passed and it was signed all in the same day. So if that tells you, it's something
Right.
going on when it goes like that. But yeah, the mere act of helping a citizen who may be in line for a long time not have to lose their place in line and start all over. Uh, you're not going to be held criminally liable for passing them water or food. I mean, it's bad, brother.
and it was Representative Park Cannon. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
make sure I got her name right. That was arrested after she continued knocking on Governor Kemp's door while he was signing the bill. So that's who it was, Representative Park.
This sounds like when I mean that sounds almost as absurd as giving somebody a bottle of water or a slice of pizza. You
It
get two
does.
felony charges for knocking on the door,
It does. I
and
mean,
not only is I can see if she was a protester, she's
right,
an elected official, and she sits in the seat that Stacey Abrams once held.
right.
So it just none of this is making legitimate sense, other than the fact that I warned you a long time ago that democracy was under assault, and
You
this is
did.
what it looks like.
You did. You did. I mean, listen. I'm trying to pull up some of the actual language in this bill, but this is very disturbing. So, guys, if you see me looking away, I'm just trying to pull up to get you as many facts as I can get you on this. But
Oh yeah, and then another thing is they can replace local boards of election. So if you can remove the Secretary of State and you can arbitrarily replace the local boards of election, that means if you don't like the results in Fulton County, you just throw them away and don't use them.
so wait a minute, wait a minute. Isn't the Secretary of State an elected position?
It is, but as far as it goes to elections in Georgia now, they have hamstrung that position. And if you think about it, it's an overcorrection by a mile because it's everybody who did the right thing is being penalized in this new law. But I tell you this, even though it's an overreach, uh, the Republican Party is walking lockstep with this all across the country, and so you need federal legislation to counteract all of this because at this point it means that the right to vote is not sacred.
Let me just go through some of these, man. I mean, I got to tell you, until you told me about it, where we were on tackle today, I mean, I hadn't had a chance to sit down and look at this, and this is very disturbing to me. Let me just run through some, and I know it's going to be to you, so let me just run through some of these things. So, the first thing up, the new law allows for unlimited challenges to a voter registration.
Right. So that means you're gonna have all of these people. You remember they kept wanting to be able to challenge and throw out the votes in Fulton and
Yes,
other places that had high concentration of African American, um, Hispanic AAPI
yes,
population that didn't vote for their candidate of choice.
right.
And I think Lindsey Graham even told the Secretary of State, well, if you throw out all the absentee ballots, then let's go back and recount. So this is a manifestation of this.
I, mm, mm, mm.
Another
You know,
overcorrection. Another overcorrection.
yeah, I mean,
The
it's just
Rob,
opening a Pandora's box based on race, really, and ethnicity based challenges.
but they would have you say that it's good and patriotic. I mean, it's Jim Crow 2.0.
I don't think anything with unlimited is ever going to be good and patriotic because now I can stall this process to infinity.
Well, you don't
Right?
have to stall it to infinity. You just have to stall it long enough until they can come up with the count that they want, since they've taken the Secretary of State and the local elections board pretty much out of play until they come up with what they want. Then they can send it in and how they want it.
Well, get this one. Another one of the new provisions in this law is on mail in voting. It says voters will now be required to provide either their driver's license or a state ID number or a photocopy of their identification to cast a mail in ballot. It also bans third party groups from sending absentee ballot applications to voters and ends the use of portable polling sites like the mobile voting buses used in Democratic Fulton County last cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be able to take the voting to the people.
Right.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to take the voting to your elderly.
Well, This is
Then
what
you're gonna put all these restrictions on the mail-in ballot. Now this is I I'm just keep going, Charles. I'm just reading through some of these outrageous things.
well,
And then which you alluded to
we
this.
already know the implications of adding photo ID to mail in or absentee ballots. That's aimed directly at Black and brown people, because we know income inequality and the disparities in the community. They know we are more likely than not uh, to have more people without that, thus disqualifying their vote.
Charles, this is very similar or feels very similar to Jim Crow.
I just told you, Jim Crow 2.0.
I mean, and then Governor Kemp. How coincidental is it that Governor Kemp, is up for re-election next year?
Well, he has what he thinks is every incentive to go along with this. Plus the
Right.
fact that failed President Trump is threatening to have somebody run against him in the primary, and that Stacey Abrams is still out there circling.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels like he needs every. He feels like he needs this.
He does need it. Let's just be honest. He needs it, but just because he needs it doesn't make it right and doesn't make it fair. And let
It's
me go to
blatant.
the question.
At this point, it's blatant. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way you could read this and come away from it feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about democracy in America. Because get this is Georgia, but there are 42 other states that have some form of suppressive legislation proposed right now. So there are only 50 states in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another question that comes up. Let's go to it.
What can the federal government do about this? Very good question, Antonio. For those of you who are not familiar, there's HR 1, which was passed in the House of Representatives, which is essentially the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So let me back up before I answer Antonio's question, because in my class this morning, we had an interesting discussion, and I had a light bulb moment, Leslie. And this was my light bulb moment. When I was hearing how bad this Georgia law is, it made me think about what consequences are. And here are the consequences when you don't vote, when you don't take care of your community with your vote, when you don't exercise your vote. This is what happens. And what I mean by that is, as the judiciary has become more conservative, you have things like, everybody is familiar with the Voting Rights Act that was put in place. Part of that was put in place to combat Jim Crow era tactics, like the counting test where they make you count the jelly beans, jelly beans in a jar, or they make you do a reading exam, or they make you do.
Hold on, Charles. I gotta stop the presses because a comment just came through that disturbed me. So let me address this.
Okay.
My God, brother, Pastor Robert G. Johnson says, Leslie, your sister just told me you turned 50 today. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. It is not so.
It is not so. I'll say that for you.
I am 49, and that's it. Now we can talk about where she turned, but I'm not quite there yet. So I got at least 300 and
okay, but Leslie, your birthday is not as important as these voting rights.
That's right, but I just wanted to get to that.
Okay.
Back to schedule program.
Right. Okay. Y'all hold that one. But yes, pre-clearance was a part of states, the worst actors, having to go to DOJ before they propose any new changes to voting in their states. That was gutted. And what do you think is happening right now? Because there is no pre-clearance.
They're making changes.
They're making changes. And interestingly enough, way back in 64, 65, when they passed the Voting Rights Act, they had in the notes that the need for pre-clearance was there because of the new and ingenious ways to which states may go to make changes to voting rights. And wouldn't you know that, they argued and the conservative courts have gutted those portions of the Voting Rights Act. And this goes to Antonio's question. We need all of that replaced at the federal level. And the only way to do that is to pass legislation. Now, I said a lot for a little, but let me finish one last paragraph.
Okay, go for it.
We have a conscious crisis of magnitude in the United States Senate right now. There's 50-50, and Joe Manchin is talking about he wants to have 10 Republicans come with him in order for him to be a co-sponsor on H.R. 1. Not going to happen. If any of you heard the president's press conference yesterday, the filibuster is going to have to be moved out of the way to vote on this issue, so that H.R. 1, will be SR 1 and SR 4 in the Senate, can get passed. And Joe Manchin is going to have to put on his big boy pants and get to protecting the right to vote. Because if Republicans were coming with you, you wouldn't have 43 states trying to enact voter suppression tactics into law right now. So it's either that or we have to find somebody to run against Joe Manchin.
You're right. I just pulled up an article, Charles, that talks about exactly what you were saying, and I'll give a synopsis of it right quick. But it basically says the U.S. Senate is presently considering the For the People Act already passed by the House. As you said, that would expand voters' rights, strengthen campaign finance laws, and limit partisan gerrymandering. Under the current Senate rules, it would need 60 votes to pass. In the same press conference, Biden indicated his willingness to reform the filibuster in order to pass legislation which could prevent most precocious vote suppressing provisions in the new Georgia law and the others being considered in state legislatures across the country. So that just kind of sums up what you were referring to.
Yeah, and then, it's like Back to the Future, because we're talking about suppressive voter tactics, which is what Jim Crow was all about. We had a whole show about Reconstruction, and Jim Crow was the actual roadblock and destruction of Reconstruction. And now we're talking about the filibuster in the Senate, which was Jim Crow, the way of blocking
Right.
voter rights.
Let's phase on. How long did it block voter rights? How long has that worked against the advancement in that area particularly? Right.
Yeah,
voter rights and civil rights.
It's always been something, but it's never been called out like it's being called out now.
Because now it's blatant. Now it's obvious. Now it's not even hidden or implied. It is on Front Street.
It wasn't hidden in, Liz. It wasn't hidden. Everybody knew what time it was. I think with the advent of 24-hour news cycles, shows like ours, all around the country, all around the world, calling it what it is. It's racism. And it must end.
Yeah. Plain and simple. It is what it is. Like you said, you can't beat around the bush on this one. It is what it is.
And I think like this when I'm approaching this issue. President Biden again said this. Now you can like Joe Biden or not. I really don't care. That's not why we're talking about it. We're talking about the substance of it. And he was talking about the relationship between the United States and China. And he could have not been more right. I don't think 24 hours ago he knew how right he was. He said the next race is the race between autocracy and democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, these type of suppressive tactics lead towards another Donald Trump, but somebody who actually knows what they're doing, an autocrat. And is that what we really want for America?
Yeah. Good point.
That's what it boils down to.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what it boils down to.
And I hate to say I told you so, but I told you we're gonna have to keep our finger on the pulse in Georgia.
You did. You did. You did. I mean, it wasn't 20 minutes after we knew what the fate of the runoff election was that you looked at me and said, if we're not ready to go right now, we're already behind the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So I got
then
a question, Charles. Let me go to that, get that up here. Carrie.
Coach, what's up, Coach? Hey,
It
what
says,
are
what?
the chances of Washington, D.C. becoming the 51st state? Coach McCoy, longtime coach in the Jackson Public School District, uh, big time coach at Blackburn Middle School and other places. I did my student teaching on Coach McCoy.
Did you?
Yeah. So this is what I would say, Coach. Again, filibuster. In order to get things done, we're gonna have to break through the oppressive minority rule of Mitch McConnell. And Senator Warnock spoke eloquently about this. Why is the minority being treated as victors, pretty much, and calling the shots? It's mighty interesting that when Republicans are in control, they're ruthless. They'll do whatever to get done what needs to get done. And so Democrats got to get busy about making progressive boldness uh, the watchwords of the day. Because watch this: if DC becomes a state, then
Yep.
the Senate is flipped completely, because that means you add 2 Senate seats, and that's the real reason for wanting to block it. Other than it's Chocolate City, baby, you know.
So you're saying that, well, I mean, yeah, the power structure changed. The balances of power really
Yeah,
changes.
if you make DC a state, then that means Puerto Rico is going to want to become a state. If
Yeah.
that's the case, that's 2, then 4 new Senate seats, and those are not going to be Republican Senate seats, and that flips the Senate forever. And so the minority is making all type of threats to keep our eyes off of that.
True. I can't dispute that at all.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening.
Oh yeah.
So
Do we have any more questions? Because I'm a little heated today behind all of this.
I know you are. All right. So let me see what else we got out here.
I don't know if Andre. Oh, Unity. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and peep this, Andrea. Not only is Unity an issue, the budget and how much deficit becomes an issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Now,
mean,
now we're
you could,
concerned about spending.
yeah, you could pass $1.9 trillion in tax cut for the top 1%. But when the Democrats turn around and do that same 1.9% for the middle and low class,
Right.
oh, well, they're blowing out the deficit, and our children are not going to be able to pay that debt. You had no concerns about that 4 years ago, buddy.
No. And let's be honest, they don't have any concern about it now. It's just who's in power.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the other question, right? What state is going to be next? Because we know Georgia's just the first; it's not the last.
Did you not hear me? There
I
are
heard you. I heard you. I just want you to say it again.
There are 42 other states, to include Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania, all the states that were in question that Trump did his whole spiel that ended up leading us to an insurrection on January 6th.
Right.
All of those states are using that big lie to say that there were irregularities and there need to be changes to voting in their states.
That's fine, but here's the problem, right? Of those 42 states, not all 42 have the power in the legislature to get it done. So Georgia had it. I mean, if you look at the vote, the vote was by party line. What was it? 30 to 20?
It's going to be by party line in those places as well. What I'm telling you is those Republican-led states are more than likely going to go for this type of setup because guess what? What Joe Manchin is not taking into account, or either he is and he's trying to play everybody, the Republican Party, the National Republican Party, has people in place on a committee right now who are part of Stop the Steal, who are pushing for restrictive laws to be put in place on voting rights because they know they have lost the popular vote in the presidency for the last several cycles, and it's not going to get any better. So instead of coming with better candidates and swaying more voters, no, we'll just fix it where we take voters out of the equation.
No doubt. I mean, that's what they're doing. No doubt. There's no doubt about it. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
But like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Pennsylvania, they don't have the votes in Pennsylvania to do it. They don't have the votes in.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes.
They control the House and the Senate in Pennsylvania?
Go look. They have enough votes to put this type of thing forward. That's what I'm telling you.
But can they pass it, though?
Yes. Go look it up.
Doing it right now.
It's already happening. Michigan. They're trying it in Michigan. They may not have the trifecta. That's what you're asking me. Not just the House and Senate. That's what makes Georgia unique is they have all three.
Right. They have all three.
Yeah.
But all they need is two.
Right. Well, there you go. And you're gonna have some problems.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have some problems.
They could do it with two if they have enough majority with two. Otherwise, they'll get a veto at the top and send it back. So they have to have enough to override the veto. But I didn't realize, I'm looking up the list here. I didn't realize they had control of that much.
Yes, they do. We got to get busy about flipping some of these state houses.
Yeah.
Because now you see the bigger dilemma. We've been focused all on federal elections, and that's why I told you we have to be ramped up year round.
Here it is. As of February 26, 2021, Republicans control 54.21% of all state legislative seats nationally, while Democrats held 44.9%. Republicans held majority in 61 chambers, and Democrats held majority in 37 chambers.
Now you see the issue.
Houston?
We have a problem. As my mother just said, I'm sitting there with her and she's watching the show with me as we do it. And she said, all politics is local.
Yeah, I mean, that blew my mind. I mean, I guess even I hadn't put my eye on this, and that's why we do the show, to keep all of us familiar. I'm going to pull it up right here because it's just literally sent chills going through me. But here's the breakdown. Look at this map. This shows it all. This is scary here. Let me pull it up. Everything in red?
Well. What do we have here?
Republican control.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of work to do.
Indeed, we do.
So, you know, sometimes people always say, well, show me what you're talking about, make it plain. You know, old school used to say, make it plain. That's about as plain as it gets.
Yeah, that's a scary sight.
That's scary. And so, going back, Charles, I know we had the question earlier, but I know we've had some people join since then. I want you to go back and kind of re-bring up Antonio's question, and I'm going to put that back about what can the federal government do about this, and restate that again, just to bring viewers up to speed on what President Biden is doing and what the federal plan is.
Well, you need to get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed immediately, because you need some type of codification of rights and norms that are going to protect people across the country. Because as these states, which you just saw the map,
Man, I mean,
It's a national crisis, and they have put their heads together and said, okay, fine, we're not going to win the presidency, we're not going to have control of the United States Senate, and we're not going to have control of the House. We'll move down to the states and have control of that, and we'll change it right there.
Charles, you know, there used to be a song that said, please don't call 911.
Yeah.
When I look at this map, I want to say, please call 911.
Right.
911 to every minority in the nation, we got a problem.
We have a huge problem because they are doing an end run around the federal government and using what's in place. Now, you can't get mad with them for using what's in place, but this is why that terminology of all politics is local is so important. And this is where those states with these small populations have so much power when it comes to the federal government, is because they keep sending Republicans to take care of their interests, and that creates a minority dominant position.
Yeah. And when you look at this, yeah, because their whole constituency is pretty much, except for one person, is Republican. So, but think about this. This also shows the even a crisis at large, and just how dynamic the national presidential election was, the election in Georgia, how unlikely that was. Because when I look at this map, do you understand that means that we won nationally in a lot of places that are controlled locally red?
Yes, but here's the thing about Georgia now. Now, they have always monkeyed with the levers. That's how Stacey Abrams is not governor right now.
Right.
Brian Kemp was once Secretary of State, and he messed with the levers of power. He screwed people from the road just in time to keep them from voting for Stacey.
Right. Well, he's doing the same thing again now.
Right.
He had making sure they changed the law so those people that voted last time can't vote for Stacey next time. Come on.
Right. So don't be fooled now. I mean, this is how it goes. But because of Atlanta's position, because of the Metroplex, because of the influx of minority population, it's still, here's what I would say though, if there's one silver lining on the ground in this, is that people are not going to take this land down and people are going to vote. You give us new rules, we're going to do what we got to do.
I mean,
but it makes it a dicey proposition, because now that what they're saying is not only are we threatening your right to vote, we're threatening the right for your vote to count. You may vote and we may snatch it from you anyway.
Hey, Charles, here it is. Right? Here's another number. Let me put this. This is just bad news. This is like the bad news bears all over again here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Let me blow that up. So, state senates.
Look at that.
1,085 to 866.
Mm-hmm.
State houses. 2917 to 2449. And let me just tell you, and I'll take myself for right here. I would have assumed that we controlled the houses by a lot, that we were lagging behind in the Senate. I had no idea we were losing in both of them.
Yes.
And that's scary.
Yes, but here's one way of looking at this. If you back out, I like to always talk about the 30,000-foot view. Yep. If you back out and you put that map back up, think about this. Issues with vaccination. Does it look familiar? Look at the map.
Yeah, it does.
Issue with coronavirus testing. Does it look familiar?
It does.
Take a look at the map. Issues with voting rights. Does it look familiar? Look at the map.
Unfortunately.
Issues confronting equal pay for equal work when it comes to women's rights. Does it look familiar? These are the people who are blocking that. When it comes to
guess what else look? Gun rights.
Rights. I'm going down through the whole list. Gun rights, immigration, minimum wage, taxes, tax policy, climate change. Does it look familiar? Is this starting to make sense to you?
Yeah,
As my
very
man
clear.
Maximus said on Gladiator, are you not entertained?
Now I'm not entertained, but I am pissed. So
Yeah.
I have to take some action about it because I mean I don't think holistically as a minority population, and I mean all minority, I don't think we really understand this number right here that we're looking at. I don't think we have brand awareness around this number. Because
Mm-hmm.
I did. I mean, as much as I look at this stuff, you'd have had me dead to the right if I would have had to predict or answer a true false question. I've been wrong all day long.
This is the type of stuff that we have to fix, and we have to get about the business of fixing it right now because they're doing an end running around the federal government because the federal government actually does good things.
Right.
If you look at this COVID relief package, it's bipartisan because the people need it, want it, and are using it.
And guess what? Let's be honest. 78% of Republicans wanted the stimulus package.
Right. But when you have stuff like that, it cuts against the grain of pictures like this.
Yeah. Well, we got some questions, so I'm gonna leave this map up because it's just people need to look at it for a minute.
Stir it up some, huh?
Yeah, it's good trouble, but
Yeah.
we got to deal with it. Let's go. The Bird says he thinks it's gonna backfire on them. I'd like to know why you think that, Brother Bird.
Oh, I'm with Brother Reginald Bird. I'm with him. Happy Chop Day, brother.
Yep, I know what your view on it. I'd love to hear what Bird's position and why he thinks it's
Yeah,
gonna.
I think it's gonna backfire for this reason. When you overreach to that scale, you piss people off in your party. And
Yeah.
so regular voters are gonna have a problem, especially when they know how long the lines are in the Atlanta area.
Right.
And then get this. All of these new rules in Georgia, who was in control of the last election, or the last two elections, or the last three elections?
The Republicans.
Right. So basically, you saying we suck at winning, so we got to change the rules again.
Yeah, pretty much. Let me see. Brother Connolly says, "How do you now get rural people without a state-issued ID to vote?" Well, that's the point.
You're gonna have to apply. You're gonna have to start applying for those IDs right now in order to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a very valid point. I mean, we grew up in rural America. You know, people will drive and operate and conduct business and have bank accounts and all kinds of stuff without an ID.
Yep.
Just a fact of life, and they know that.
Yep. But they also know that the overwhelming majority of those people that vote Democrat.
Yeah, and so they have collected that intel, right. And now they're weaponizing it.
Right. I mean, I can't be mad at them, but we got to respond to it because it's education. But this map tells a story. This map tells the reality of America and the ugly truth about America, and the part that we don't like to look at sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to have to be some answers to this because, just like you said, not only are minorities going to have to stand in those lines, they are too.
No, without a doubt.
It's going to be interesting. There's the pissing out their constituents and they're not going to vote. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also I would add to that, when you piss us off now, we're going to fight back. Especially now. I mean, they may have been able to intimidate us in the 60s. Not now. You can't intimidate us now.
No, it's a different ballgame. It's a different ballgame. So, man, I mean, here's what I think. And I'm in Texas, and Texas has been doing some very stupid things lately anyway. So I can see them jumping on this bandwagon. Just from the comments Ted Cruz was making just earlier this week. I mean,
oh yeah, they're definitely afraid of us. They're definitely afraid of us. We're not afraid of them, and we're going to win because we're gonna put pedal to the metal. We're gonna go out there and get the votes. And somebody got to get to Joe Manchin and tell him, hey, bro, what you're doing is not working. They have a national strategy at this point. So either you're gonna be with them or you're gonna be with us.
Right. Make a decision. Which side of the sidewalk you gonna be on?
And considering he may be coming up for re-election soon, he might want to watch that in case we decide to recruit Mr. Justice. Look up Mr. Justice and put his stuff up there.
Who is that?
The richest man in West Virginia. He's considering maybe he wants to run for the United States Senate.
Oh.
Guarantee you, Joe Manchin will start being very active on the scene because he's gonna need some support. So we need to get that going right now. Either he's gonna do it or he's gonna get replaced.
So you're talking about the great governor of West Virginia, who is a billionaire.
That's right.
And
that's right.
You know what? You got a point there. And let me say this. I do like the governor. I like his comments when he came out, even with the mask mandate. He said, "Why we're in a hurry?" He pulled out that little man. He said, "This little thing right here has been saving lives. Why we're in a hurry? We're gonna open up. Why we're in a hurry? We're almost there."
Same one that said, "Why should Joe Biden do a small package? He needs to do a big package. Go as big as you possibly can."
Yep. It made sense. It made sense.
So Manchin might want to watch his six and get it together, because if Justice decides that he wants that seat, it's gonna be hard to keep it from him.
Yeah. If Justice decides he wants that seat, I don't think Manchin can keep it from him.
Yeah. Big bank take little bank every day of the week.
All day. All day, twice on Sunday.
That's right.
So, wow. Lot of information today.
Now you see why I turned down your other show topic.
Yeah, I do.
This is as the former president would say, this is huge.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that if this doesn't call you to take action and get involved, then nothing will, right? Because literally our kids' future, our future, everything is wrapped up in this. And these are decisions, local decisions that affect that. We've seen it with the mask mandate lifted. These are local decisions that are being made that affect you and affect me and affect everybody right immediately.
Go back and look at that map.
Yeah, these voter laws, these registrations.
Yeah, go back and look at that map, and it gives you a perfect explanation for why we've been stuck in the house for a year, because of people doing stuff at these local levels. Hey, that map speaks to a lot of the ills in the world today. Yeah, come on. My niece wants to say hello to everybody.
Hey, how you doing? Good seeing you.
How are you?
Hey.
I'm well. I'm pissed off looking at this map, though.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Maya Manley. This is my uncle. I'm his niece.
Tell him what you
I'm
do
20.
For a living.
I go to Tulane in New Orleans, and I study anthropology, African studies, and Spanish.
That's
so right. Y'all send some prayers up for me so I can finish.
You don't need it. You're in good shape. You're gonna knock it out the box.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
So, a couple of things, Charles. So not only this is horrible, right? That's not good.
You can't stop looking at it, can you?
It's
finally a visual representation for a lot of the things that we have arguments about on a daily. In a whole new context, huh?
Yeah, let's go to the comments. This is really, I mean, read this one, Charles.
If I'm in Foxworth in East Columbia, who's going to open up the Rural Center or Duckworth Park and register the elderly to get state IDs? Or should I say Foxworth, Georgia and Hub, Georgia? And well, I mean, here's what you have, and that is an apropos analogy for those of us who grew up in Mississippi. That is going to occur all over the state of Georgia, in the rural areas especially, because we know how hard it is to get everything we need out to those rural areas.
Yes.
The one silver lining that I would say about Georgia that makes it unique is that they have national and state level organizations with tons of funding that are used to doing guerrilla warfare on getting registrations done, on getting people to the polls. So this is they're in the fight. And some of the things that were supposed to be in this new law, such as taking away souls to the polls, Sunday voting, was shot down because of those groups. Now, there's going to be a reckoning in Georgia because a lot of the big businesses, like Delta, is one of the the largest Black employer in Georgia, isn't it? And
Yeah.
they took a stand saying that they believe in Black lives, believe Black Lives Matter. But this is something that directly affects Black lives at a atomic level.
Yeah.
So
No doubt about it.
all of those businesses who put up lip service and then they let this fly by under the radar, they've got to answer the bell.
No
Coca-Cola, Home Depot, you know, the music and movie industry, which is now pretty much ground zero in Atlanta. All of them are gonna have to put up.
Yeah. I mean, this is we gotta go to work. I mean, there's just no easy way to put it.
No,
You know, we gotta go to work. And I'm looking at, here's the other picture. And when we talk about getting in good trouble, we all collectively have got to start getting into some good trouble, and we got to do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to salute Representative Cannon for getting in some good trouble, not being afraid to get in some good trouble.
But now look at this picture. Look at this picture and tell me what is wrong with this. The inequalities of this picture. You have 3 officers arrested her for knocking on a freaking door.
Yes.
But the people stormed our house in Washington on January 6th, and they have to go out and find these people because they let them go because they were white.
Right. They've got to ask for the public's help.
Yeah. I mean, this is a visual representation again of where we are and how skewed it is. And I don't mean to make everything about race, but you can clearly see the race in it. Yeah. And then our senator, she is an embarrassment. Cindy Hyde Smith, saying that you can't vote on the Sabbath, and she doesn't even know why that was in the Bible. She's trying to quote Bible verses and mixing them up. I want her to get back into Bible study this summer and see if she can't figure that out.
Well,
and then the other thing I want her to do is
how many counties are in the state and how many states are in.
Yeah, she's got a long way to go. Now she's talking about. Now get this. Now she's getting ready to travel to the border to talk about the immigration crisis. She couldn't travel to Jackson to talk about the water crisis, which are your people.
Right. Enough said. I mean, listen, there it is right there. Your people have gone for weeks without water. You're nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard from, but you going to the border?
That's right.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah, they went down there today for a photo op.
Yeah, I understand.
With bulletproof vests and escorts and the whole 9, like somebody's checking for them. And like I'm with Joe Biden 100% on this. Nobody is walking 1,000 miles because Joe Biden is a nice guy.
Right.
I mean, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But
right.
that's what they're pushing. If you decide to send your 7 or 8 year old or 9-year-old on 1,000 mile journey by foot, it's got to be desperate.
It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be. Look, man. All right, let me put it like this. How hungry do you have to be, Charles? How hungry do you have to be to start eating your shoe laces and sufficing for food? How hungry do you have to be? That's probably a level of hungry you've never even thought of in your mind, right? That's what I think about that statement. That is the most ridiculous statement. It has no logical value at all. It's like, what Okay, like really, like that right there. I don't even know how
But
you
that
got
lets you
that.
know. That lets you know they don't really care about the kids or the people. Um, so it's about photo ops for them.
Indeed, indeed,
Hmm.
indeed.
Any more comments that we need to address right now, Leslie?
Yeah, get the comments in, guys. Get the comments in. Let me see. I think you've got. No, I think we're all up on comments. So just hit me with your comments. So Charles, and I'm leaving this picture up here for a moment because this is the picture op that I'm looking at right now. It says a whole lot to me. She was knocking on the door. She didn't have a weapon. She
She
didn't make a
definitely
threat.
didn't have hair spray.
She she didn't make a threat. She was knocking on the door.
She was getting in good trouble.
Getting in good trouble. But the irony is, you mean to tell me it take 3 officers
Oh,
to
they got to make
arrest
it look.
somebody that was not even violent?
Yeah, I mean, furthermore, Leslie, she's an elected official. She's not
Right.
going there to do anything to that man. But then here's the larger question: why did she have to knock on the door for you to sign a bill? You had to. It was so bad you had to sign it in secret in some
Right,
special
because
place.
usually they send it out in the open.
Right. So it was that bad. It stinks so bad you had to sign it in some special place.
Of course it did. They knew it was bad. They knew it was bad. I mean, look, it was bad. They knew it was bad. It was bad.
Unlimited challenge.
And I just,
Changes to the local canvassing board. Changes to the Secretary of State's involvement in elections in Georgia. They even went so far as to shorten the runoff time from 9 weeks to 4 weeks because they feel like Democrats had an unfair advantage because Democrats actually got out and registered new voters and logged votes and talked to the people. Well, how is it Democrats' fault? You had the same opportunity. So now they changed it from 9 weeks to 4 weeks. It's blatant. So I don't know. And I don't know where that leaves us other than we have to fight. And we got to start fighting right now. I'm not sure what happened to Leslie. Maybe he's having a technical issue right this second. But um, I've said my piece. I hope you've heard me because it's a call to action. You can't just sit by and watch it and say, woe is me, because this happens. It's aimed directly at all of us. It may be happening to Georgia, but everybody else is on the clock.
I heard everything you said. Couldn't agree with you more. Everybody is on the clock.
Yes, sir. With that being said, if there's nothing else, Liz, I think we stop it right there. I mean, I think we put more into that small segment than we have into a lot of shows.
Yeah, and I think that it was a lot to say.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, let me see. Got one more question here.
2 felonies. Not 1, 2 felonies.
Wait a minute, Charles. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Go look up her charges. She has 2 major felonies.
Okay, let me see if I can find that.
Disrupting General Assembly and some other type of obstruction charge. And took her right on off to jail. I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I know I'm right on this.
Yeah, you're right. They arrested her. Here's what she said. She was arrested. She was with several other protesters. Now they listed her as a protester. I don't even see how you call this a protester because she has a right to be there as an elected official. Here was her request when she knocked on Kemp's door, saying that the public should be allowed to witness the announcement of the bill signing, and they should.
Yes.
You signing a bill that affects all of the public, they should be allowed to know about that. That's all she was saying.
She won't be convicted, Bird, but yeah, I mean, those crimes wouldn't affect your right to vote. Those are not listed on any type of list that I'm aware of, but she won't be convicted. That's got to be thrown out. She's an elected official, so she can't talk to another elected official.
Yeah. Yeah. You got your point on that.
Yeah, I mean, none of that makes sense. Well, it does make sense from this standpoint. They came to Washington and wrecked the place, and killed 5 people, but she knocked on the door, so obviously she's got to be charged with felonies and taken to jail right away because she's a protester. Oh, that doesn't make that does miss me with that.
I mean, yeah.
False equivalencies. So now they can run the Fox media and say, "Oh, she's protesting. She's got to be a bad actor." Yeah. This won't cover up Officer Brian Sicknick's death from January 6th and anybody else's. So stop with that.
Agreed.
And on the way out the door, let me tell you this: Dominion Voting Systems sued Fox News today for $1 million.
I did see that. And and they announced that this won't be the last suit.
No. So let's see how quick they keep up with the shenanigans.
Yeah. I mean, so that means now they have sued. What did they sue? They sued Georgia, right? Yep. They sued they got about 3 or 4 suits out right now.
Yeah, they got a bunch of them out.
Mm-hmm. So Charles, what should the average citizen, what can we do to get into good trouble, to play our part in turning this around?
Well, we need to know the facts, which we're here to provide them for you, but you got to go out and do your own research as well. And we got to talk to each other because a lot of people had no idea that this was even happening. And so we got to stay plugged in. We got to stop with these extended victory laps.
Indeed.
The old political hand, I told you right after we saw the results, the way they were leaning, I said, we got to get ready, man. It's going to be on and popping in Georgia in 22. And look at it now. It's headed that way.
You did say that. I mean, you did.
So we got to stay engaged. We got to stay active.
I don't know no better way to say it.
Yep. Well, player to player, pimp to pimp. That's all we got.
Charles, you got the last word. Go ahead and send us out.
Well, as I said before, this is a call to action. I mean, now that you know, what are you gonna do about it?
Times of uncertainty. It is during these times that we stand on the foundation of a resilient Tiger Nation that has always prevailed during turbulent times. From the civil unrest on our campus 50 years ago to a new reality of today, we are still Tiger strong, and we have much to be proud of. Proud of a diverse student body of scholars, leaders, artists, and athletes who are top, talented, and trained. Proud of a faculty and staff who are committed to challenging minds and changing lives. And proud of our 2020 graduates who have proven that they are ready to make an indelible mark in their chosen professions. Jackson